Hello, 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 beautiful souls. So happy to introduce another revolutionary conversation between Janelle and I. Speak up. There was something earlier today that just came through that people in different parts of the world, women in different parts of the world, have been told that now they can't use their voices, and it is so very important. They can't sing, they can't tone, they can't talk to one another in that regard. And it makes it even more important for all of us to be able to speak, to be able to speak our truth, to be able to speak our golden power, our light into the world. And today we're here to speak of something that was beautifully inspired by a conversation Janelle and I had just the other day about being seen, and how that act of being seen actually illuminates and even activates parts of us that we didn't even know were alive. And you know what, Janelle, it feels right for you to start with your story, because it really was a huge catalyst um, in your world. And I know that everybody will benefit from hearing it.
Thank you, Jules. It's such a joy to be here again to just dive into another golden mine, right? And I think that as Jules and I have these conversations, we realize that sometimes the life lessons or the chapters that we live can be a catalyst for the seed in your soul that's beckoning you, right? And so in an earlier conversation, I realized I'd never actually talked about this. And in the conversation, I realized it was the one thing that changed my life more dramatically and drastically than anything. And it was a moment. And so, what I'd like to do is just give you a little storyline about the moment that was the catalyst of the life I'm living today. And so, after college, I moved to the East Coast, got my career started. And as I was starting my career in Connecticut, New York area, I was really feeling like I wanted to launch my life and go big, right? I had a big vision. You know, the vista's wide open when you just finish college, right? And there's something so beautiful about youth that it's got a fearless quality to it. Like you're ready to take on the world, right? And so,
Impenetrable.
and so there was a speaker who was talking about building a resume, about what was important. And she said, you know, there are other aspects about your lifestyle that really speak of volumes about who you are and what you're capable of. And she said, so on my resume, I added that I did the New York Marathon. And I was like, New York Marathon, wow, that's bigger than life. And in that one moment, I said, I'm going to do the New York Marathon. So, of course, couple years in advance, I was in Connecticut, New York. I said, if I'm going to do one marathon before I die, I mean, at that point, I was maybe running 3 miles, right? Just for fitness, just because that was a great thing to do. And it kept me fit because I had recently lost weight and was keeping my weight off and helping me feel alive and even modulate my stress, especially in college. And so here I am going, I'm going to take this on. This is the life quest. And so I thought that was the big thing. And so here I am doing the New York Marathon, trained and prepared to do it. And I had so much fun. And I wasn't paying attention to time at all. It was just getting to the end, which is 26.2 miles, if you don't know. And I was feeling so good right through the end because in New York City, of course, it's a bit of an energy buffet, a party going through because everybody on the sidelines is giving you so much support and energy that you feel this through your whole your the inner symphony, as Jules talks about. So I finished this. I had a great time, and a couple weeks later, after I did a 10K, this gentleman comes up to me and he said, Janel, I saw you did the New York Marathon the other week. He goes, you know, if you put some energy and effort into it, you could be a good athlete. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah. And I thought, what is he talking about? Because for myself, I saw myself as somebody who could just do complete and be sort of a middle packer fitness kind of person. And he said athlete, and I could feel it. It was monumental. And so he said, yeah, let me train you. And so in that innocence of that moment of not knowing and not needing to know, I let him coach me. And all of a sudden, his certainty and his sight, his name is Steve Pyle, remarkable character who had the capability of seeing a diamond in the rough. And so here I am at like age 25. And it was the first time I realized that anybody saw me and my potential. And so I turned into like a little 10-year-old who was going, wow, okay, what is this? And so as he was coaching me, I did my next marathon in LA, and I did from a 3:40, I did a 3:10. So I took a half hour off my time. And then I qualified for Boston. And then I went to Boston a month later and I did a 3-hour marathon. And all of a sudden, so quickly, I became a world-class athlete overnight. What was that energy that got activated in me? It wasn't that I had talent and hidden capability. It was that all of my circuits started to fire because someone believed in me and stood by me to say, you are capable of something greater than I had any vision or even imagination of. I'd never even had aspiration to be an athlete. So here I am going to the national championships in biathlon, the duathlon, run, bike, run. I started adding the bike. He coached me. I go to the national championships that fall. I have the fastest bike split in the nation. I qualify for the worlds. It was a whole nother life. I amazed myself, and I knew the power of being seen and having somebody with an anchor with the competence and that confidence and that certainty that I borrowed, right? I borrowed his goldenness, and that brought me to a level far beyond. And so this journey kept going, and I kept competing and almost winning every race. And everybody wondered, where did this girl come from? I didn't even know. I was living my own mystery and I was amazing myself. But the key is I stayed innocent and I was just witnessing this energy and how good it felt to be alive. And so it feels so significant for Jules and I to hold that space of seeing you and letting yourself be given a chance to amaze yourself, because it's a quantum leap that has created such a ripple and a change in my life, because that journey went on and on to the Ironman, right? Because I wanted to live beyond biology and figure out what that was to live in flow. And what did that do for me, that journey? It was a spiritual journey. It was a quest of Janel finding herself. Because once I found myself and had the experience, there was no way I was going to back down. Because I had that knowingness, the confidence, the conviction, the inner self, the inner dwelling was there. And so what could I wish for anybody else is to have that experience, because it's absolutely monumental. And so having that given to me and fostering that has made a revolutionary change in my life. And just the only day in our conversation did I give words to this. And I realized that was the power, that moment. It was probably a 5-minute conversation. And my curiosity, my openness of leaning into the unknown, the uncertainty, that have no idea what's going to come, brought me to a place in my life, even the way that I now manage myself, because I've developed this character, this belief in myself, and learned what makes me who I am, far beyond what my mind ever imagined. And Jules, you have a story, a unique story, very similar and very different when you were seen, right?
Yeah, thank you for that, Janelle. I just noticed I was like tearing up and realizing that more nuances to the story come that I didn't even realize were on their way as the magic happens in revolutionary conversations. I love that. Um, there's that power of being seen, of truly, truly being seen. And, it was interesting. I was listening to something just the other day, and they said there's a power in just complimenting somebody on something. And it might seem just really, really simple, but being able to just compliment somebody on something means that you're recognizing and noticing and seeing them. So even just on that really, really superficial, really general, that you think, oh, well, that's like really light, and that's not much.
Seemingly superficial, but when it's genuine and
Mm,
original,
exactly.
got gold power.
Yes. And so that knowing that we have this ability to be seen, when we had this conversation the other day with Janelle and I was like, okay, like, was there an incident in my life where I was seen, where it just activated me like Janelle's? And I realized that it wasn't one incident that was like super memorable. It was an accumulatory effect
Mm.
of many, many different situations and relationships, and being seen constantly, in different ways. And I'm very grateful for it too. And I wasn't in that realization until we spoke the other day, Janelle, that from a really young age, and probably way earlier than I can remember, um, my mom was behind me 100%. And that opportunity to be seen and to be heard. And I remember moments where she said, well, you get this faster than I do, and you're going to grow and you're going to evolve way past me when it comes to this work. And whether it was working hands-on with people doing cranial psychotherapy that I started when I was 10, or talking to ghosts, talking to animals. Like, it was always animal communication and spiritual conversations when I was little, fairies and different spirit babies and such.
Mhm.
Um, but that knowing that there was always this knowing that there was somebody behind me, that there was trust
Mm.
and confidence in knowing that I had the capacity and capability that far exceeded what even she could believe or see, or what my stepdad, which I guess he was probably 6 years old, 7 years old when I met Pete. He was a track and field coach, and so he's my sister's dad. And so Pete, he I we would go to track and field meets, and we would be with these track and field stars, and some of them went like world class, but they were our track kids. And so we grow up watching and being coached and watching coaching and watching that degree of support, uh, at that level of just knowing that all it takes is just a little bit of love and support and being seen and working on things to just keep up leveling yourself.
Mm.
And I remember at one point my mom said, oh, Jules, you'd be more helpful to work with this little baby. And I was like 12, like maybe 12 or 13, like young. She said, you're way better at working with babies. Like my energy is really intense and it really freaks babies out a lot of the time. And so even just those moments of going, okay, and it wasn't that that was actually necessarily true. She was great at working with kids and babies, but um, her just reiterating her confidence
Mm.
in my own unique gifts, uh, and then recognizing throughout time since our conversation, like all of the teachers who have been incremental and powerful in that. Jules, like you're an amazing artist. Like, what if you were to stretch it to this level or this level, and having my art not just displayed in the hallways, but framed and put in the school offices of almost all of the schools that I went to. That like that constant reminder of validation of my own gifts. Uh,
Mm.
yes, it's external validation, but it also, when you let it come in and you let it reinforce your own gold, it becomes unquestionable, undeniable. And there's something really powerful about, as I look through it, as I was journaling about it last night, all of these beautiful characters who saw me and and questioned something about me or invited me to expand into something greater inside of myself,
Mhm.
including yourself, Janelle. Like that opportunity to go, hey, you are expansive. Your capability is beyond what you can possibly imagine. And instead of just going, oh, no, no, that's impossible, just like sitting with it and asking myself, what if that is true? Right? Why am I resistant to that being true? If
Oh,
Janelle sees that in me, right? Why can't I just sit with that and see how that lands true in me?
yeah. And what is so key is to have an incubation station, I call it, the place where those new possibilities have the fertile soil and the TLC, I call it the truth, the love, and the consciousness, to be bathed and basked in that um, that place where there is certainty and anchor, where a person can deepen their roots and to come to know that for yourself. Because once you know that for yourself, everything in your whole life changes. Possibilities open up, and the universe reflects back to you your open vista and your big yes to the world and all of the doorways in your own self that the facet of your diamond can shine brightly through in and throughout.
Can I add to that, Janelle? Because that just like
Yes.
activates something inside of me. Um, and that is that, to remember that we have all these facets and they're already there, just like me, like journaling about them, looking at them a little bit differently, going, oh my goodness, there's been so much that's already been gifted. It's on offer. It's like the gift that's right there that you've received, but you haven't unwrapped yet.
Yes.
And you could just choose to activate that incubation chamber to unwrap one at a time or all of them at one time and sit with them. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be onerous or hard or any of those things. It could just be there waiting for you. What if
Waiting
it's
for you.
just there waiting for you right now to remember that you already have everything you need? But
Everything is waiting for you. What if that was really true and truly real in your life? Mm, because it's just a glimpse of the possibilities when we change our perspective and when we open it up. Because I sense that our greatest insatiable yearning is to contribute and to be so integrally connected in contribution to the whole of humanity in some way. And I think that's one of the things, Jules, that's so unique and really key that stands out for both of us is that when a person has the opportunity to discover the reason why they were born, their greatest purpose, their mission, what they were born to carry out, because that's what the world around you is yearning for and waiting for. It's everyone is waiting for you to say yes to yourself so that everyone can receive the gifts, those jewels that are packed away inside, right?
Mm-hmm. And those gifts that are just ready and waiting for you to unwrap them. And it's funny, and I've used this analogy before. It's like sometimes we're given these gifts, and it's like they're wrapped in some ooey gooey slime, and we don't really like the look of them or the texture of them, and we're like, ooh, this is really gross. And so we actually don't, because it's uncomfortable, or because it's awkward, or whatever those things are. We actually never look through to open up the wrapping to see what's inside. And that gift that we all have available to us, when, like you said, when we're able to fully receive it and get out of our own way so that we can uh, engage with the challenge of remembering who we really are, what we're really here for.
Right, right. And adding to that, I think the key is to be able to step back and witness, because so many times we're caught in our own entanglement of avoiding, delaying, putting off to the side, disguising our deepest desire. Because oftentimes, what we want the most in our own life, what we deeply desire, is also what we're most afraid of.
Uh-huh.
And when we can step back and witness that, it doesn't have a hold on us. There's not a clenching and there's not a contraction. So can we just find that neutrality to look at everything with new eyes and feel into what our true yearning is, right? Having the capability to really listen and let sink in that whisper from your soul, because that does take a quality of silence and stillness and presence to hear. And oftentimes we're so busy because actually we're afraid to hear the whisper of our own soul. And yet,
Mm.
that's what we're most yearning for. But we look outside ourselves. We look for external validation, confirmation, and it's never going to give us that fulfillment, because we got to
Mm.
find that golden root, that golden seed.
And to flip it all the way back to the beginning in the deepest, meta way, is that we're looking for ourselves to be the seer, right? We're looking to be our own coach. We're looking to be seen by ourselves. And that it takes slow, it takes stillness, it takes that awkward pause of presence. But when we can be there to see and to hold space for ourselves the way that those who have activated us have done for us, that's where the magic happens. And the more we have behind us helping us see ourselves, the more magic happens, the more gold appears. And that golden human renaissance that we've talked about in several of our
Right.
conversations just erupts when we start loving ourselves and who we really are.
Falling in love with life.
Mm.
The power of falling in love with your own life, the power of falling in love with our life brings us such elixir of life that, number one, soothes and heals, and also nurtures and brings to life aspects of ourselves that we've denied or, you know, hidden deep inside our own, hidden from our own selves. Because when we can have the courage to let this come alive, we begin to feel the power of the universe, the power of life, the power of love, really bestowing itself on us. It's like letting the sun shine into us and bringing to life. Because I love to use the 5 Ps, that is the ultimate aliveness equation, is the power. And with that is the purpose, right? That's because behind the wound or behind what's hidden is the purpose. And in the purpose is the power. And in that power and purpose comes passion. And in that passion, we begin to feel presence. And when we're in presence, we move with poise, right? So when we begin to live our life and balance those 5 Ps, everything is a dance. And you feel so wildly alive and in love with life. Whatever comes from that is revolutionary. And you know it.
And I love how you stepped into some of the tenets of Revolutionary Leadership Academy that we're starting, Janel, like that. The depth of it sounds wonderful. You know the feel of that person when they've stepped into those P's, and you go, oh, I want to be that. I want to live that in
Palpable.
me. Yeah, you can feel it. It's resonant. It's magnetic. There's magnetism to that.
Yes.
But we don't know how to get to it on our own, which is why we all need each other to hold space. We need this in a group. We need coach, like that opportunity to be seen, to be held in community while you're doing this is what percolates this into a living, breathing ecosystem that you can trust in within yourself and within the community. And we're so excited to share more about this very soon as the time comes. Yes. But I would love to, and I've forgotten to mention this, is that if there's any comments that you have and you want to leave them below on the YouTube video or Facebook, wherever you're seeing this, reach out to us. We are here. We are co-creating. You and your comments help us to co-create, and then we can all do it together. And this is what it's all about. This is what
together. It's a time for connection, collaboration, and creation. We all need to meet each other.
Wow. Well, that feels beautifully complete, and I can feel, the dancing. Everybody enjoy that dance.
All coming alive.
With that, unless there's anything else you want to add, Janel, feel free. Okay. With that, we will end this beautiful revolutionary conversation. And we appreciate, would love, invite anything that you would like to share with us, and look forward to connecting soon. Thank you so much, Janel, for all of this beauty, juicy beauty. Golden. Thank you, sister. Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.
Yes.